You're not going to want to miss this episode of the AI Show where we talk to the 2022 OpenCV Hackathon winners, Team Barolo and the Arnase Project on the AI Show. Make sure you tune in. Hello and welcome to this episode of the AI Show where we're talking to Team Barolo and the Arnase Project, the 2022 OpenCV Hackathon winners. Friends, let's start with an introduction of each of y'all. Giampaolo, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, so hello everybody. My name is Giampaolo, and here with me, Alessandro
and Gianluca.
So basically we are three friends who happen to work in the same place. And the company where we work in is Arol, who kindly hosted us in their offices late in the evening to give this short presentation of the project we have been involved. So a quick story. In November 2021, we learned about this OpenCV Special AI contest in 2 days before the deadline for submitting a proposal. And so we rushed and we said, oh, there are so many beautiful prizes, like hundreds of dollars in Azure cloud services, a smart camera like this one we will show later, and especially Legos. So we had the way for having fun paid, and we say, why not? So we submitted a proposal, and the proposal came with the request of a name of a team.
Okay.
And since we are working in Arol, guess what? Our team is called BRO, which is also a name of a wine, Barolo, a red wine that is made in Italy, in northern Italy, in Piemonte, where we live. So we are here in Torino, in northern Italy, and that's why we chose this name. So the name, the choice of the name was easy, and then it came to the project. So what we could do, and the request was to develop a industrial machine based on AI. So Arol is making cutting machines for the bottling industry.
Okay.
So again, the choice of the name of a wine was not coincidental, and also the name of the project is called Arnase.
That's really cool. And so it's just a bunch of friends? Y'all were just a bunch of friends that got together?
Yes, only for having fun and trying to learn something, because we did not know nearly anything about AI and computer vision. So we took the chance of learning if our proposal was accepted. And actually it was, in spite of our expectation. So what we did was to start learning and trying to make a project. And the project of Arnase is also an acronym of automated, I should read because I cannot remember on top of my head. But the acronym is for Automated Recognizer Network-Enabled Item Sorter.
Oh.
So what the project will do is taking bottles. We took small bottles because we had a small Lego set.
Sure.
And put on a machine that we will show, and using this camera, recognize bottles just by looking at the shape. There is no barcode. They are all the minion bottles. And the machine is sorting and dispatching depending on the job order that has been submitted through the internet. So this is basically, in a nutshell, what we have done. And
didn't you brought a video though to show us like where you live and what you do, right?
Yes, exactly. Because I mean, everything came out of coincidence, but probably we put internally inside this project most of the excitement and the experience we have been doing in the company. So can we have a look at the video set?
Let's do that right now.
Great.
Well, that was delightful. So let me see if I understand the project. Basically, you use AI to help fulfill orders of bottles of wine. Am I getting this right?
Yes.
Exactly.
That is really cool. So I want to ask you a question. Because I think this is important. I saw that you used a little camera. I saw that it was actually Legos. You weren't kidding about Legos. Can you tell us a little bit more about the project? Can you help us out with that, Alessandro?
Yes. Okay. As you know, there is a lot of things to do in the project. My job was to play with Lego. I'm sorry, build and design Lego projects.
That's awesome.
And the better way to show you my work is to share our public site,
Okay.
where we put all the information. You see our public site, and in the public site there is the first part of the Lego that I had to study, and is the mechanical adapter for the camera. So I have to create a mechanical adapter that has that was light and simple, and using only pieces that come from the Lego set we choose to use. And so the idea is to have a frame that is used to fast assembling and disassembling the camera, and also to leave the access to the USB port, and don't cover the back part of the camera that is used as a surface for dissipation of the heating. The next big task was to do the conveyor for the bottles. So that was a little different and more difficult part, because Lego pieces doesn't, there is not a Lego parts that can be used as a horizontal conveyor.
Right.
So I have to study a different way of move bottles. So I put a belt, a mechanical belt with some arm that push bottles on over a flat surface. As you can see in this way, there is some first tries, and this is the first try that I made to do this job. After that, I need to put some motors to move this conveyor, and you see is, for example, this conveyor motorized, and I need also to create a background for the camera, for the bottles to be shown on the camera. As you can see, there is a part with the camera, what you see. This was the first part. After that, there is the real project of the system that comes, and there is something about this. You will find all the information, all the project, the CAD project, and also building instruction for all these pieces in this site.
Yeah, and let me put it up so people can see it. It's right, arnaise.readthedocs.io. It's very, very thorough. That's really clever. I noticed this, and it probably went by really fast. That's really clever that you put a consistent background for the bottles for the AI to recognize them. Did you do that beforehand, or did you discover that while you were building the model?
No, we started in this way because we thought that having a background is better to select or to see the real neck and body of the bottles.
And by the way, we had the white pieces, which was quite luck for us, because I said the pieces we could use were limited by the set that we had for the project.
So it all worked out in the end for y'all. Now, I have a question, and maybe the answer is no, but do you have the actual device with you to show us?
Oh, yes, sure.
One part of it, at least, we could put on the table, but just have a look.
Let's take a look here. I'll put you up full. That's really cool.
And this is, you see something is, this is the camera.
Uh-huh.
And
Here is the bottle.
here's the bottle. And here,
And the battery got flat, sorry about that.
the white part with bottle that way. This is the expulsion system. And, but okay, you will see in the project if you want.
And if you happen to have the set and you follow the instruction, you can reproduce the design at your home.
That is that is so cool. I mean, I'm trying to picture myself telling my significant other, my partner, hey, I need to buy like a really expensive Lego set, but for work.
Oh, yes.
It's for this is all for work.
This is what I say to my
Did you understand our motivation?
My wife.
The price came just before Christmas, so we had free Legos for Christmas, or
That
just
is-
later.
That is fantastic. Okay, so Gianluca, you've kind of been sitting there a little bit. I wanted to ask you, hopefully you know the answer to this. Can you tell us a little bit more about the software? Because the hardware stuff was super interesting. I love the details of the project. Can you get into the software, Gianluca?
Yeah, as mentioned, we should start thinking that we didn't have any prior experience on computer vision and AI. So we started with a simple task: learn the capability of the OpenCV framework and see if it could fit our needs. We began by watching an OpenCV free 3-hour course, which gave us a lot of key information about the framework itself and image and video manipulation. Then, as soon as we received the Oak Delight, thanks to Luxonis, we discovered the DepthAI framework and started to learn how to use it. With that, together with the basic knowledge from my university studies, we started to develop a basic software that could recognize potentially minion bottles. Then came the other part of the software, which was the training of the neural network. I know many of the people connected already know this part, but to train a model, pre-existing one or not, you have to have a lot of data. In this case, the data are images, which have to be labeled to tell the model which object it is seeing. This process is probably the one that takes the most time, which can be, in our case, it was more than the training itself. After some tests, we decided to use a RoboFlow for this procedure. And you can even run the trained model for inference on there. At first, the training was made on my computer with a few images. And as soon as we add more data and so more images and more confidence with Microsoft Azure, we moved the whole process there. For the final training, we used like 1,000 images, thanks to RoboFlow Magics. And every step along the way came with a series of tests, which we shared weekly with the community. And some of these you have already seen in the video, which we submitted. And we are still looking at some of the inputs we received, for example, from Safiya Malik. We are still working on it, trying to improve it.
That's really cool. So I know when we talk about like hackathons, old school, we would all just show up at a place and code for like 24 hours or 48 hours or something like that. This wasn't like this. Can you tell us how long this took? Because you mentioned you talked to community once a week and stuff. Tell me about the whole process there. Why don't we give that to you, Gianpaolo?
Yeah, I mean, as said, the submission came in late November. And then the award for proceeding for the final was starting in December or so. And we had nearly 3 months for the development. In spite of other teams that started from something we had already, we started completely from scratch. So we had a lot of things to do. And we put kind of a project like we do in our real job. We put a project on GitHub, we had an issue tracker, and used this weekly milestone to have a motivation, have a target for our goal. So we decided at the beginning of the sprint what to achieve, and we try to respect our schedule. Sometimes it was easy, sometimes it was not. But the motivation was to communicate every week through a blog post on the community what we had done and possibly which were our roadblocks. And we received a good feedback thanks to that, and also some motivation to continue because other teams were selected and did not submit at the end. We did, and thanks to that, we won this popular vote. So probably both things were instrumental for us to achieve the goal and also to be here tonight.
That's cool. And so basically along the way, you posted your wins and losses or how things were going on a blog post, and people just started to participate. Is that right?
Yeah, we also received comments, issues, and pull requests on GitHub, our project, by external contributors. Then they became friends, and some we are currently working with us in our job. But they started just by looking at what we have been doing and also trying to give some help. The same logos, the Arneis logo that we have in our T-shirts and the Barolo logo were made by a student. Then we just happened to be nearby, and now we are in close contact with them.
That's amazing.
I said, all the code is there, and it's free to use. If you find something useful, use it and possibly improve it. In our company, we are also, I should mention that Harold was not involved at the beginning. We decided to do the job as part of our self-learning curve in our spare time. We didn't even want it to tell the company that we were doing that, but they discovered because it came public, and to our surprise, they were supportive. So they liked the joke we made on Harold. Harold is a trademark, but they say, oh, that's fine, just use it. Of course, respecting the, so sure. This is a private work, but it's public. And by the way, you did some wonderful job with such smart camera and OpenCV. Maybe we can consider in doing some work or some project starting on that. So I cannot exclude we will do something commercial. Probably will not release everything in the community. I see. But what we can, as much as we can, we will share and we will continue the project on GitHub.
That is,
so have a look and help us.
So people, you want people to get involved. Where can people get involved? Where can they find out more? Just to finish up.
Yeah, I will point you out to the homepage on Read the Docs. So Arneis Read the Docs, as you've shown, where you can find pointers to the GitHub project with the issue tracker. And also we have a Twitter feed that we are using for communicating, giving news and events. Okay. But just follow the GitHub and it's easier to know how it works. And of course, also submit pull requests. We are more than glad to do that.
Fantastic. Well, this has been delightful. Thank you so much for being with us, my friends.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, friends, you've been learning all about the 2022 OpenCV Hackathon winners, Team Barolo and the Arneis project here on the AI Show. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Take care.